Alright, what is going on, guys? Elo here. Welcome back to the channel. Yes, this video is long overdue. So I was pretty busy, if you would say, the last week or two, so I wasn't able to upload. My last upload was probably a week to 2 weeks ago, and I'm sorry for the lack of uploads. I feel like I say that in the beginning of every video because like I post a video and then I leave for like a week. So I'm sorry for that. I gotta be more consistent. Since now I'm back home, you know, my setup and everything, I'm a lot more comfortable here and it's a lot more chill here, so I'll be, you know, uploading more videos now. The thing is, I'm going to Texas next week for about 4 to 6 days. I don't know specifically what it is, but I'm gonna be going there for a little under a week. I won't be able to make any videos then, but hopefully I'll get, I'm here for another 9 days, so hopefully I'll put out some content, you know, in these 9 days, so you guys would you'd have that. And then after the whole month of August, I'm completely free, so the video grind will be serious. My hair's a bit of a mess, like it's really bad, so I had to put this on, you know, because why not? Honestly, I think I might make this my signature thing. Like, I've had this for one video, and it's just like, I don't know, I like this thing, so this might be my signature thing. I might have this for like every single video. Today's video is going to be, it's gonna be sort of a vlog, if you would say. I'm not playing any video games, it's pretty much just me talking. So today I'm pretty much going over how to be a professional video game player. So, you know, I am not a professional or anything like that, and I really want to go pro. I mean, that is sort of like my dream right now. For Call of Duty, at least, I'm trying to go pro, and right now I'm sort of in like the amateur scene. So, you know, I'm playing online tournaments, trying to get my name out there, and yeah, it's difficult. But I have gotten in contact with pro players and players who, you know, got their name out there, and they pretty much told me, all of them already told me the same thing, so I'm here to tell you guys what they're pretty much telling me. First and foremost, this one's pretty obvious, but you have to love your game. Like I said, this is really obvious, and obviously everyone knows this, but you have to really love your game because it's hard to grind a game that you really don't love, that you're not passionate for. Like, for me in Fortnite's a fun game, but I can't spend hours playing and grinding that game because I don't love that game. It's an okay game. Well, right now it's dead to me. Like, I don't like that game right now. Like, before, I wasn't planning to go pro or anything. I didn't, like, grind and play so much Fortnite because, I mean, I just really didn't care. But Call of Duty, on the other hand, is like, that's another story. Yeah, you have to be passionate for your game, you have to love your game, and, I mean, that's really easy, but we'll get into the more not obvious stuff. The second thing is, like I said, this one's a more obvious one, but we're going to go through the obvious ones first, then we're going to get more into the detailed ones. Second thing is practice. People think that grinding, you know, if I play Call of Duty, grinding 10 hours of Call of Duty straight is good practice. That really depends. If it's Fortnite, Call of Duty, CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, whatever game that you're trying to go pro in, if you spend so much time grinding, you have to get good practice. You can't just simply, you know, play 10 hours of like casual games or like, you know, public matches and you don't really have that much competition because you're not learning. You have to really challenge yourself, and that really sucks because sometimes you're just going to get destroyed and you're going to lose all hope of going pro or anything like that, but that's sort of, you learn from that. And instead of getting upset, you should really watch, you know, or think about the mistakes you made and fix them. The worst thing you could ever do is have bad habits in a game and you don't fix them and you don't see what's wrong in them, so you keep repeating them, and then it just ends up, if you want to go pro, whatever, your habits really get in the way of your, you know, passion. Because how pros play the game and how casual people play the game are really different. How they see the game, it's really different. Yeah, you gotta legit just grind the game, but it has to be good practice, learn from your mistakes, and you know, learn from others too. The third thing is, I kind of touched on it on the last point, but it is to 100% not love your game, I said that. Pretty much watch film. Watching the pros is literally the best thing you could do. Because like for me, like I said, I want to go professional in Call of Duty, and I always used to play a game like, you know, normal people do. And then when I'm watching the pros, they play the game differently. They see the map and everything. They just see everything differently. It really shows in the gameplay. So knowing when players, you know, do this, whatever, like seeing their tendencies, it'll really like open your eyes up. Then, you know, it'll change your gameplay, and it'll take time to get used to, but it'll definitely change your gameplay for the better, that is. Plus, it could really show you really how they consistently play, like especially for like streams and stuff. If you watch a pro player streams, you can really see how consistent they are and how you know, them doing the same things they're doing, which is the good things, has gotten them that far and, you know, making them so good and consistent. The fourth point, like I said, it's rather obvious, but it's to literally block out doubters. I'm pretty sure everyone knows esports, people have heard of it, but it's nothing big. I mean, it's big, like it's huge, it's like a $2 billion industry, but to the people, it's really not that big. People don't see the actual, like, amazing money-making side of esports. Well, you know, when someone says, like, oh, like, if I tell someone I want to be a professional gamer, they're gonna look at me like, what the hell is that? And then, you know, I have to fully explain everything, and then they finally understand. But, you know, I think professional gaming is sort of like, if you say, you know, I want to be a professional gamer, it's put into the negative mindset. Because, you know, I've got some people telling me, like,
oh, so for the rest of your life, you just want to, like, sit in front of a screen playing video games?
And people just don't understand it. And you really have to be tough, because even on social media, even on, you know, in person, you're going to have haters and people who always want to talk crap about you, and you just have to block them out. You just completely have to just ignore them and even use that as motivation. Next point is equipment. To become a really professional, you know, like a really good professional gamer, you have to have the equipment. And thing is, for Call of Duty, it's sort of, you know, it's fast reflexes, it's quick reaction time, so you need a monitor that's really good. Something that's like a 1 millisecond response time, and even quality is important. So yeah, you can get a 1080p. Plus you get, you know, you can get a controller that has the paddles in the back. It's called a SCUF. You can get that. It's like, there's so much stuff that, you know, it's a lot of money, but it's just like a normal sport. In basketball, you have to get basketball shoes. Some people want knee pads, you know? You have to pay money for all this stuff. It's not like it comes free if you want to be, I mean, you could be good with basic stuff, but to elevate your game, you need, you know, top-notch equipment. Same thing goes for headphones, though. If you don't have, like, top-notch or even good headphones, you know, it's going to be hard to hear stuff. It's like, headphones actually really do matter. But at the end of the day, you need something that you're most comfortable with. So if you're really comfortable with, like, a default controller, not the things with the paddles in the back, then use that. But, you know, if you want to, you know, get used to more advanced, you know, like the SCUF controller, just have to just use it and, you know, get used to it. The next one is having no ego. This is humongous, because there's a lot of amateur players that have huge egos, and just because of that, they get hated. They are hated, and, you know, they don't get picked by teams and stuff. Actually, I was on a team, a few months ago I was on a team, and one kid had a huge ego, always yelling at people, always, you know, thinking he's right and he's the best, and he was a really good player, but just his ego made, you know, no one want to play with him, and all the players were like, went to the sort of the head of the team, and then we were like, we don't want to play with him, and then that team ended up disbanding, and that team's gone now. I don't know where anyone is on that team. And we were a good team too, but it was just like, it was a mess. Man, but egos really, like, no one wants to play with someone that has a big ego. Like, no one does. If you guys watch Call of Duty Esports, you know that Optic Gaming, their old roster, they were a roster for 3 years straight. And most Call of Duty teams barely last a year. So they were together for 3 straight years because, you know, they were just all good players and everything. And then this year, you know, they all kind of grew egos because they were probably, I would say, the most dominant and the best team in Call of Duty history. And, you know, their egos clashed, and they actually ended up breaking up as a team because they just couldn't play with each other. So egos really break apart stuff, so please do not have an ego. And you have to be willing to learn. So, like, you know, if you have an ego, at least be willing to learn. Like, I mean, obviously you don't want to have an ego, but just so you have the slightest ego and you can't get rid of it, if someone tells you, like, you did this wrong, you don't blame them. Like, if it's your fault, it's your fault. But if you're that player that's really humble and they tell you, like, oh, this is your fault, if you know it's not your fault because, you know better, like, or if you think you know better, don't be afraid to argue and stuff. Like, not legit, like, be mad and argue at each other, but just sort of debate and say, like, you know, I did this because this, that, and, you know, maybe the person will agree with you. Another thing that this is probably the biggest point, like, ever. You have to get on social media, especially Twitter. For esports, Twitter is the #1 place for, like, going on teams, for online tournaments. Like, Twitter is the #1 place. If you don't know how to use social media effectively, that's bad. Pretty much, I mean, for Call of Duty and Fortnite, Twitter's the #1 place for, you know, players to tweet stuff out, online tournaments, like, all that stuff is on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter, make one now, and You have to be on there. And the thing is, most esports like players, and maybe except for like, you know, I mean Myth and Daequan and those really big ones, like if it's for some other game than Fortnite that the players like are not super duper popular and they only have like a few thousand followers and stuff, you could like text them and stuff and like it's fine. Some of them are kind of D-bags, but a lot of them are really cool and you could just talk to them and, you know, get to know them and ask questions how to get better and stuff, and they'll tell you pretty much what I'm telling you now. So yeah, you just have to get on social media, and like that is the #1 thing that I could, you know, I would reinforce constantly. Just that's it, social media. And the last thing, final point, is actually don't be scared to go to LAN tournaments or compete in online tournaments. For a while now, I've always had this sort of like ranked anxiety, meaning, you know, going into a ranked match, an online tournament, I had this anxiety that I'd get destroyed, lose my confidence, and, you know, not want to play the game at all. Like, I've always had that anxiety, and I just didn't feel like playing because I was legit scared. But once you play more, you just need to get over that, and, you know, the reason, you know, the how to get over that is just gaining confidence in yourself. So pretty much, you know, just forcing yourself, getting into these tournaments, and if you actually play somewhat well to well, then you're going to get over it. And yes, it does take time because, you know, I'm still on the edge about, you know, getting on, you know, online tournaments and stuff because I get nervous. LAN tournaments, they're huge. Fortnite has not had any LAN tournaments, and I don't think they'll ever have a LAN tournament just because, like, Fortnite, you need 100 players in the lobby, and if you're gonna have 100 PCs in one, like, venue, I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, Fortnite's really rich and stuff, but that's a lot of money, and just, it's a lot. For Call of Duty, it's another story. For Call of Duty, LAN tournaments are pretty much, like, that is the best thing to go to if you want to go pro. Because one, you learn how to play in the LAN environment. Because playing on LAN versus online is two different things. Online, it's your own little, you know, safe zone or whatever you want to call it. It's your home. You're comfortable in it. When you're at LAN, there's people watching you. You got teammates on the side of you. You could hear, you know, like the other team, if they're calling out and screaming, you could hear them a little bit. It's very different. It's very nerve-wracking if you ask me. You really have to get comfortable in that environment because there's some people who just strive and excel in those kind of environments because people are watching them, they have that pressure added on them, and they just want to show off and they just go off. But then there's some players that are really good online players and they're just not good at LAN. You need to be able to perform on LAN and be comfortable there. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this video is going to be like 8 to 10 minutes. Hopefully it's not too long. I hope you guys sticked around. Because, you know, I actually wonder sometimes who actually watches like the whole video and not just click on it and then get like halfway and then click off just, you know, because they, you know, they could say I saw the video. You know what? Comment melon balls if you made it to this part of the video. If you did, I love you.
No homo.
God, I wish I was more mature. Yeah, that is it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. My most recent videos should pop up on the left and the right. My subscription should be up there. And yeah, see you guys later.